Okay, so who were your best friends when you were little?
Well, my best friends were Mary. She lived across the street from me, and she was my best friend. And then as I grew up, I had a friend called Jeanette, uh, and Janet, and Lois, and Betty.
Ha-
These were all friends as I grew up in through school, going to school.
Have you kept in touch with any of them?
I kept in touch with some of them for a while, and then the one I kept in touch with later was Jeanette, and she was with me the night I met Cal, my husband,
Hmm.
and then Lois, we'd send birthday cards and Christmas cards, but I never did keep in touch with her much after that. I don't know much about their families or anything.
Did you have any pets while you're growing up?
We had a cat, and we called him Kitty. He was a white cat, and we also had a rabbit one time. Our family doctor was my sister suffered from oh, throat disease. What do you call it? Strep throat, I guess.
Oh.
I don't know if it was called that or not, but anyway, she was sick, and the doctor had to come to the house. And the doctor actually made house calls in those days. And he was our family doctor from the time that I was born. And so it was around Easter time, and so he brought a little bunny with him when he came to visit for her to have when she was getting better, you know. And because she had been quite sick, I guess, with this infection that she had. So that we had that bunny for a while until we overfed it and it died.
Oh.
You can't feed a rabbit too much because they don't know when to quit eating.
Oh.
But and then we had a little turtle that we kept in a bowl. I remember that little turtle, and I don't know how long we had him, but that was one of the little things we had. And I guess that's the only pets we ever had.
Okay. So we talked about the games that you like to play, but how about, did you have any other favorite toys?
Well, when we had in our home, we had a basement that we would play in during the winter time because it was too cold outside for us to play. So my dad was always good at improvising things for us to play with, and so he set up a little store for us so we
Oh.
could play store, and it had a little counter, you know, and then he brought us home some pads like you'd write. We used to charge things in those days, and you'd have a slip that you'd write your things on, and then the grocer would keep it, and then the end of the month you'd pay your bill. And so he brought some of those tablets home for us so we could write. And my mother kept the cans that she'd open them on the bottom and take the lid off so we could put them on the shelf for our store, the empty cans. And then we'd save cartons of things. The food came in, and so we had like a little store downstairs. And then for Christmas one year, I got a telephone, a little French telephone.
Oh.
And that was one of the new. It wasn't the stand-up one that you talk in, you know. It was a handheld, a French phone. We called them in those days. It's just like a regular old telephone, and it had a little dial on it. You know, it was just like a store, just like a store might have. So we used to always, and then we had got a little cash register that we could put our play money in. That was a toy also that we had, and so we had a lot of fun with that setup. And then we'd ride our trikes down the basement because we'd just go around. It was quite a large basement. We could just ride our trikes down there, and trikes are bikes,
Okay.
3 wheels. Yeah, and so that's how we entertained ourselves during the winter. But we would also go out, you know, when it wasn't too cold, because it got awfully cold in Wisconsin. And then we'd go out and we'd ski. And I remember the first pair, my dad gave us our skis, the first pair of skis that we had, both my sister and I. And he took us out skiing to the park that was close near our house. It had like a little bunny hill or something. And we learned to ski out there. And then across the street there was a pond. It wasn't a regular pond, but in the winter it would collect water because one part of the lot was a little bit lower than the other. So water would collect in this one area and it would freeze over. So then we'd take our skates and we'd go over there and we'd skate a little bit. And my dad always kept it nice and cleaned off. He'd go over and rake off the bumps and things on it. And he was great he provided a lot of fun for us kids when we were growing up. And then we'd go over there and skate, and then we were close to home, so we could just go over and get warmed up, and then we'd go back and skate some more. So that's where I learned to skate, on that little pond. And we had roller skates. I remember my aunt and my dad's sister gave me my first pair of roller skates, and I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And not too many kids had. These were the skates that clamped onto your shoes. And they didn't have the shoe on them. You just had to clamp them on your shoe that you were wearing. And so I learned to skate on those, and then we do a lot of skating around the neighborhood, and we lived in the city, so there was a block that we'd always skate around the block, and then that was where we would do our skating. But so those are some of the toys and things that I can remember that growing up with was the skis and the skates and the trikes. I never did own a bicycle. My sister had a bicycle. She worked, as she got older, she went to work for a bakery during her school years, and she earned enough money to buy herself a bike, but I never had one. My girlfriend had one, and I used to love to ride it, but I never owned one.
Okay, tell me about a time that you got into real trouble when you were younger.
Well, we got into trouble, but I don't know what we did. Well, my sister and I, we must have done something that aggravated our folks, because we were told to go up to bed. So they put us to bed. They said, "You go up to your room. You stay in your room now." So then we were sent up to I remember this so well. We were sent up to our rooms, and we were up there, just the two of us having a good time,
Yeah.
Even though we had done something, and so then my folks took a walk around the block that we lived in, and when we saw them there was an empty lot behind us, so when we saw them go around and past the empty lot, the two of us, I can remember opening the window and shouting, both of us shouting, "Ha ha, you can't get us now." And I can remember that so well. We were just being little brats, And they heard us, well, we talk about that all the time when I used to get together with my sister. Remember when we used to yell at the folks when they walked by?
Oh.
Ha ha, you can't get us now. But no, as a rule, I was a pretty good kid. I think I don't remember causing my parents any trouble at all.
Did you ever fight with your siblings?
Oh yeah, Jen and I used to quibble over doing whose turn it was to do the dishes, My mother would always wash the dishes, and then one of us would dry. We'd take turns drying the dishes. But sometimes we'd quarrel about that, "Oh, it's not your turn, it's my turn. Well, you did it last," and so forth. Just little quarrels, But my sister always kind of resented that I had these friends that I'd go with, and I wouldn't take her along, when we'd go someplace. And, "Well, you can't come, you're too young," or something. She was only 2 years younger than I was, but I can still remember her always kind of hanging back, thinking, "Oh, she doesn't like me, anymore." But it's typical things that you'd argue about, just little simple things. But we never fought. I mean, as far as physical, we
Right.
never did.